All right. Give me a second here to rearrange my windows. Okay. Okay, should be good here. Okay. Okay, sorry, this is my first time doing a live, so kind of working out some kinks there. Okay, so my name's Colin. I am the founder of Snaptro, and today is our day on product hunt, which is always just super exciting. So I want to catch you guys up with where I'm at with the day, and I'll tell you the story of Snaptro, and we'll just kind of watch the comments and see what happens today. So hit me up in the comments if you have some questions, and I'm going to try to get to them as I see them. Okay, so I woke up at 3 a.m. today because the way Product Hunt works, if you've never seen it before, basically it runs from midnight Pacific time for 24 hours. So I'm in Indianapolis, so that's 3 a.m. my time, and I wanted to be there right at the get-go, just in case there were comments to respond to, because that first couple hours is really crucial, because it's kind of like the App Store in some ways. When an app kind of gets popularity, it stays at the top, and then people see that first, and it kind of just holds its position. So I wanted to be there as early as I could to do my best to kind of boost it. And really, there's a lot of competition today. There's a lot of really good products, and some of them really took off quickly. So after about an hour or so, there wasn't a whole lot of activity, and I kind of went back to bed for a couple of hours. But let's just check out where we are right now. We're at rank 14. So refresh the page here. Cycle is tearing it up here at the top, and we are a little bit farther down right here, it looks like. So we're just getting going here in Eastern time zone. So hopefully this is just the beginning. This is the launch day dashboard that they provide, which is really cool. So we can monitor this as we go. So I want to tell you guys about how Snaptro came into being and all this, like just the whole the process that's led me here. So I founded a company with Sujin Patel about 6 years ago now, called Mailchimp, and that went really well. We had actually run an experiment called Connector after doing a couple other startup attempts. And Connector went really, really well. We got a lot of strong feedback that we were on the right track for something. And that was a product that I hacked together so quickly. I had some contracts on the side, and I was trying to get this product out the door, and took so many shortcuts that behind the covers, behind the scenes, Connector was just barely functional. It was just, and it worked, but there were lots of ways for bugs to happen, and kind of bad bugs. And what Connector was basically it was basically sending outreach emails. And so after that process, and we got a lot of good feedback from that, we built Mailchimp, and we were basically building on a validated idea. So we felt really strong about it. Mailchimp did amazing, grew into a multi-million-dollar company. And then earlier this year, I decided to kind of do a new thing. So broke free from Mailchimp and started doing brand new startup. And my thought this time was like, okay, so I could do this whole thing in public. Everybody's kind of doing this build in public stuff on Twitter and other places too. But I thought for me, the best medium is kind of video. So I decided that I'm going to use video to every week show you guys the progress of what I've been working on. So I basically blocked off one day a week to catch up and create a video of all the stuff that's been going on. And that way I can show you guys my ideas, my hypotheses, my ways of experimenting, my validation, the ups and the downs and all that stuff. So that's what my YouTube channel is about. It's called Colin Makes Software. And I kind of came into it with the frame of an idea. And that frame of the idea, you know what? I thought I was sharing my screen with you guys this whole time. But just 1 second here. Let me cut over to that. There we go. Okay, this whole time thought I was sharing that, but anyway, I had this kind of frame of an idea, And I decided that let's not go too deep into it. I wanted to have an idea before I started the YouTube channel, but I didn't want to get too much further because I wanted you guys in with me from the beginning. So the idea I had is called New Teammate, and what it is, and I'm gonna go to the homepage real quick while we talk this through. What it is basically is an onboarding experience for new employees. So with Mailshake, whenever we would hire people, and I guess I should say Mailshake was remote from the very beginning, always remote. And that was a major plus for us when the pandemic happened and everything like that, because we had a lot of experience being remote. So one of the things that we did whenever anybody got hired on was we had a channel, the general channel in Slack, where we would basically welcome that person. We'd talk about who the team was, we'd ask them to introduce themselves, and then everybody would kind of pile onto that thread saying, welcome. And it always was a great experience. And then one time, one employee came in and they made a video introduction of themselves, and it just raised the bar. Everybody was immediately kind of blown away by it. And it just got me thinking about, kind of reversing that a little bit. When you come onto a company, when you come onto a new job, it's kind of a nerve-wracking experience, even if you're excited. Wouldn't it be nice that your first day, you just get a lot of introductions from the people you're about to work with and to be a part of that team? And, really just feel welcome. And it gives the team a way to say, we value your addition to the team. Let's hit the ground running, carry that excitement. Whenever you have a new job, there's all this excitement. Carry that excitement into actually doing stuff for the company and making great products and working with great people. So that was kind of the frame of the idea. And the first thing I wanted to do was create a landing page for it and just kind of start figuring out what does that look like. And so I use Figma for my designs, and it looks something like this. This is pretty much the first iteration of the homepage. Let me just switch this view here a little bit. Okay. And it was real simple, just trying to get to the crux of the idea, kind of a step-by-step playback of what this app is about. And then I took this idea and started validating it by taking people out for drinks or emailing people in my network or asking for people to connect to me. I just wanted to get a discussion going about what it's like to hire somebody and bring them on, and what are the pain points with that, and do you feel this idea resonates? And I was getting a lot of good positive feedback, and so I kept working on that. And over time, it got to this place where I was like, okay, this is going to be hard to market for me because I don't have an audience right now. How am I going to generate that audience so I can start doing pilot programs? And I have some friends who I'm sure would help me do some pilots, because I really think piloting this would be really valuable and important to the process. So that led me to thinking about, what if I could create a product-led growth idea? Like, what if I could create a new product that's like kind of a spin-off that is a little more viral, a little easier to give away, and then can bring people in to New Teammate and help me basically seed that audience, because I really wanted to knock this out of the park, and I was afraid of just launching on Product Hunt without anybody here and then really not going anywhere with it. So that's what led me to creating Snaptro. And Snaptro is basically my idea of saying, okay, this video introduction idea, let's use that and use it for everybody. Basically give everybody a chance to make a video introduction of themselves and put it online. They can share their content. Linktree's doing this. Buffer has something called Start Page. There's a lot of apps that do this. Link in bio apps is kind of what they're called. But I've never seen one with a video introduction on top of it. And when I made one for myself, it felt really personal and really fun. So I was like, let's see how other people react to this. So that's where the idea for making Snaptro came, was basically a product-led growth idea, something I can give away for free and grow an audience that can help me with New Teammate. And as I dug into it over the weeks, I really kind of got to that place of saying, okay, could this be monetizable on its own? Like, is this actually the thing? The thing I didn't like about New Teammate in terms of a startup idea is there's a lot to build before you can monetize. And I like ideas that are so simple that you can rally around it and create an entire experience pretty quickly and get that feedback immediately. I really want that closed feedback loop to happen as fast as possible, because once you're getting customers saying, oh, I like this, or I don't like this, or, this feature is what made me buy your software, that's when I think you can really dig in and double down. And that's what happened for Mailshake. That's why Mailshake worked, is because we had an experiment that was successful. So that's what led me to thinking about making Snaptro. And here it is today. It's launch day, and we've got a full product. It's not just a bare bones site. I've picked 3 niches to focus on, and I'll go into that in just a second. But it's a pretty full product, and it stands on its own. I did not monetize it yet. I decided that, trying to cut features as much as possible to get this out into production. That was the biggest one to cut, was basically subscription purchasing, which is not even really important for launch. We're still in that validation phase. So how does Snaptro work? Basically, you can come straight in and turn your camera on, and right away you have a chance to record your introduction. And then you hit record. It's going to give you a quick countdown. And then you can just start talking and saying, hi, my name's Colin. I'm the founder of Snaptro. I also do this, I do that. I'm a dad of 3 kids. I have this YouTube channel. And then I can pause it and regather my thoughts, think again, and continue. And then eventually I can hit stop. And then all I have to do here is enter my email address and give it a title and pick a URL. And then I have my page. Obviously, you can retake your video as many times as you want. In fact, I have found through this whole process of building this and trying to market it, is you got to retake it several times. You get really good at it after you do it a couple of times. So it's a little nerve-wracking at first, and I've seen people record their videos and tell me about that experience too. And it takes a few tries to get it right, but then it really just sinks in. So I was thinking I need to pick 3, basically a couple niches to kind of like dig into and show people who this is actually for. And the truth is, I don't know. I've only been doing this for about 8 weeks, and I don't know who's going to take off with this. But I wanted to make some really strong, educated guesses, and that's led me to these 3. So sales dev reps, job seekers, and Airbnb hosts. And what I wanted to do was create a landing page for each of these groups of people and show how it can work for them. So just to go into sales, for instance, video introductions for sales reps. My basic idea here is no-shows are a huge waste of time and energy. So anytime you're like trying to do a sales demo and people don't show up, that sucks. Like that's just not, that's not going to get you where you need to be. So my thought is on those demo emails that set those demo calls up, give them a video introduction of yourself. Make that human connection to say, you're about to meet with a real person. I'm very excited to talk with you about it. Here are all these resources for getting ready for the demo. So maybe there's a case study, or maybe there's like a getting started guide or something like that. And so I made a demo video, specifically for sales reps. And I go into like creating multiple pages for different types of sales strategies. And, by choosing this niche, I never know how to say that. I never know which way to go with that. By choosing that niche, it really pushed me into thinking, well, okay, what does this exact person want out of the software? And that led me to saying, well, salespeople, they're definitely going to need statistics. They're definitely going to need analytics about how this is working for them, because as a salesperson, you need to know if your strategy is working. So you need to know who's clicking these links, who's playing these links, and it led me to an even further point, which is, wouldn't it be really cool to get precise tracking by letting people create basically tagged links? So if I was about to do a demo with a really important client, maybe I take my video I've already recorded, my page that I've set up, and I create a special link just for that group, so that it tracks their interactions separately from other interactions. And that way I can really dig into seeing, is it working for a specific group? Something I didn't want to build. I felt like this is totally unnecessary for a minimum, an MVP basically, minimal viable product. Don't think you really need this gigantic feature, but I wanted to show that it's coming to shore up this persona that I'm targeting for sales reps. They're going to want this. So, and that's really clear to me that they would want this. Okay, so then the other ones I chose were job seekers. I feel like that's a really good one too, because whenever you're applying for a job, cover letters suck. Nobody really likes them. Some people do them, some people don't, but they do give you that chance to stand out. And I think when I was looking for jobs, or if I were to do it today, I would really want to connect with a specific company and say, I like your company specifically because of these reasons. I'm drawn to that. I want to work for you specifically. And what's a better way to do that than with an actual video cover letter? So instead of, just, dear sir or ma'am, you can say, I'm Colin, I'm passionate. You can see in my eyes that I'm really excited to work at this company. And that emotional, personal connection is what I think would help people, land a job. So I'm really looking for that, some feedback on this idea to see how that's working. I would love to see somebody play this out. So again, made a demo video just for that. I kind of tweaked the stats feature I just mentioned earlier because I feel like for job seekers, you don't really need to get that detailed, but you do want some feedback. But I think you care more about, did they watch my video, than the whole graph and statistics. And then the last one I thought about was Airbnb hosts. I kind of wanted to go outside the box a little bit of my thinking, and I just was thinking about how when you have a guest book something with you, having that personal connection with the guest could be really valuable. Just showing them a tour of your house, or just telling them about yourself and why you chose to kind of do this. I've stayed at some really cool Airbnbs, and I've watched a lot of hosts go through like varying levels of experiences with their I almost said users. I guess that's how I think of them, but guests. And some people, have these like one-word responses. So, you'll say something like, do you have an extra set of towels or something like that? And they're like, yes, or they're just not very personable. And the ones that are stand out, 10x, and you actually want to go back to those places, right? I have some places I would love to go back to. They're just like stuck in my mind because of how positive the experience was. So that's my thought behind Snaptro for Airbnb is, giving that personal touch, making that personal connection. I actually stayed at a couple Airbnbs this weekend on a little trip. So I messaged those folks to see if they would create a page, and kind of looking forward to seeing what they respond with. Okay, let's take another look. I'm going to show you guys stats dashboard here. So let me switch to this view. And something's not quite right here. Let's see. Well, it's not letting me refresh this. Okay. Okay, well, anyway, we're looking at our analytics right now. The CloudWatch analytics here on the bottom, the 1010, it's actually supposed to be 14. It's not letting me refresh it at the moment, but the Fathom analytics is basically visits to the site. That's the top section there. So we're seeing 160 visitors for the day so far, and that's kind of ramping up a little bit as this hour starts progressing. And on the right, we have the current order of the products of the day. So we're going to hopefully see Snaptro start to rise in those ranks and take that spot. Okay, so yeah, it should be 14. It's kind of strange. And then on the left, actually, this is where I have my Airtable throttling. So everything you're seeing on Snaptro today runs on Replit and Airtable as the backend. So it's a completely free database basically. And this is I won't show you the production data obviously, but the development data looks kind of like this, where we have just a regular old Airtable and we've got these records for all the people who sign up. And my plan is basically use this as validation in very, very quick iterations. It's super easy to add a new field if I need to, and I can just update my code to use that field. And then if things go well with something, then create a database, create the indexing and all the things that we need to make a super fast experience. But only do that once we kind of get that validation. So we're in this place right now where we're trying to figure out where is the best place to double down on. And I think that happens a lot in anytime you're building a startup. I'm especially bootstrapped. I'm only really talking about bootstrap companies, but whenever you're doing that, every single hour of every single day is crucial. You can't waste any time. So whenever you're building something, you need to be pretty sure about your steps. And at the same time, there is no guarantee or sureness of any kind. So you have to take some stabs in the dark, and then what you're looking for is that educated feedback that comes back to you that says this is something worth investing in. And so that's what I've been looking for throughout this whole process. And I really want something. I've heard this a lot. The idea of a minimum awesome product instead of a minimum viable product. That's kind of the new language that I've been seeing that I kind of agree with, which is it's no longer really you're not really able to just say, this is like my whip together app I did over the weekend. You're not going to get a lot of traction from that probably. Okay, hold on a second. All right, having a little bit of trouble with my iPad. Let's try this again. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, the idea of a minimum viable product is kind of no longer, the way to get through to people. I think it's more minimum awesome product these days, where you've got to have something that's pretty well packaged. So Snaptro is that. I think I did a really good job of like putting this all together. There's onboarding flows, there's marketing, there's use cases for specific personas. And I think that you need that. I think that you need that to basically get in front of people and to make progress. So I hope that's what I've done with Snaptro, and that's why I stopped at the payment section. That's why I stopped at charting and reporting for this. I want to stop building and get feedback. All right. So then, yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the day that basically Snaptro has its day in the limelight. So what I'm really hoping for, let's refresh our stats here a bit. All right, we're in position 15 still. So we started the day at 30, and then we went to position 22. And some of these are really, really ahead of us. Like Cycle is just tearing it up. Pretty far ahead. So we're still working our way back up this list, but let's see here. Okay. One of the things I want to share with you guys too is the history I've had with Product Hunt, because it's such an interesting platform. Product Hunt, I believe, started around 2013 or 2012. I'm not exactly sure when exactly, but if you look at my products on Product Hunt, and it goes back pretty far. I was there in 2014, May, with a product called 12ish. And that product basically was you can put yourself out there for people to book 12 minutes on the phone with you. And when they basically book that time with you, it's kind of like Calendly today, where it basically picks a time slot and then your phones will both ring without knowing the person's phone number. And you basically have a 12-minute conversation. And the idea was kind of like connecting with influencers or people or experts or, we had the voice of Siri on there, actually, Susan Bennett, and you would have a chance to talk with her. And I actually have, if you guys give me just a second, I'll show you the email I sent to Ryan Hoover. So yeah, this was back in May 14th, 2014. And this was back when you had to basically message Ryan to get on for the day. And I was just like, took a stab in the dark. It was one of the many things I was doing to try to promote 12ish. And he responds back. I get pitched dozens of products a day, and most of them I defer, to be honest, but this is super rad. Do you want to post from your personal Twitter account this morning or tomorrow? And that's how 12ish got on Product Hunt. And again, that was back in 2014. And I believe it says we have third of the day. So these badges didn't exist back then. I think it was just like how you, I don't quite remember, but I think it was just how you showed up in that list in the ranking. And then we got promoted on the newsletter the next day. So this is like my first experience with Product Hunt. It was phenomenal. We got a ton of great discussion and got a lot of great feedback. So this immediately was like, okay, this is what I want to do with all my products, right? And later that year with 12ish, I was trying to promote it, and I was developing, some sort of tool set for me to do that promotion. And one of the things that I built was something called Lukewarm Emailer. And basically what it was a really smart spreadsheet. It was a Google Sheet. And let's see if I can even look at some of these old screenshots. I have no idea why this one's like blank, but this is a really old post too. Basically, you'd put in like Twitter handles and other things, and they would help. It would basically help you find people's email addresses, and then you could send emails, like multiple emails, straight in Google Sheets from it. It was actually really cool. And I put it on Reddit basically to say, hey, I'm building this thing. And somebody put it on, where is the comments? Somebody put it on Product Hunt. And it just kind of blew up overnight. I was on vacation. I reached over, grabbed my phone, and I had just tons of notifications. People were buying it, which I'd barely set up any kind of ordering. It was just a PayPal link kind of thing. And it really blew up. So it got second of the day that day, which was super fun. It was just like the most fun weekend ever. And that, again, was a great experience. And then, let's see. From there, then this is when I met Sujin, and he and I built Content Marketer together, and then a spin-off product called Notifier, and then another spin-off product called Connector, which this was the experiment that worked that led us to Mailshake. And then Mailshake, did really great. I think we got number one of the day. Yeah. Well, it says product of the day. I guess we've been on a couple times, but it did really great. And so I've always had a really great relationship with Product Hunt. I think it's a fantastic community. All right, let's see where we are again. This is like the kind of, I want to refresh this page like all the time. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, pretty much in the same spot. I think we're still at 20 votes? Yeah. Okay, let's cut over here for a second. Okay. Another thing I thought I'd share with you guys is just some like kind of some of the ideas that kind of poking around for Snaptro and maybe the future of it. You know, I feel like whenever you do a launch, it's always good to be thinking about what could come next. So when people do jump on this, if there are questions about, what are your plans for Snaptro and whatnot, I feel like you want to have some of that stuff at the ready. So one of the things that I've realized from making several pages now is, social links being taking up a lot of vertical space. So if you go to my Snaptro, kind of see it's getting a little bit long, right? Like I've got a decent amount of links on here, and I feel like at least my Twitter, if not something even more like the YouTube channel, could come up to be their own kind of social icons, a little more standard way of presenting them. So that's one idea, is to put social icons up here because they don't need a lot of explanation. And then the other idea is to do sections. So I was thinking about like grouping different links, like these are the apps that I've built, or these are the organizations that I belong to for charity or for anything like that. And so that's one of the ideas I have in my head is creating like a way to do sections within your links. And then another thought is embedding. So the idea of embedding your Snaptro video on any page could be really interesting. I want to show you my wife's page. So she runs a business called Cheeky Little Goat, and it's basically, she's started a business where we started selling blankets, but then kind of selling even more stuff. And having an embeddable video introduction, like say right here on the homepage, where it could be, this card, or maybe this card kind of landscape size, to embed that into your site and make that a part of your whole experience is top of my head in terms of what to do with Snaptro. The other idea is sort of like pairing different people together. So like if you have a team where you've got like 4 people on your team, or it could be more than that, of course, but if you have like 4 people on your like leadership team, or just, you could basically embed 4 Snaptro profiles all together, in one spot. And that could be your about page even too, right? So that is really interesting for me to think about in terms of, and that could even be its own hosted page. I kind of flirted with the idea of like, what if you did combos of people's, usernames, and that would like automatically show them together. And then I felt like, well, first of all, you would need some sort of permission about that. I don't feel like you should be able to just grab anybody's profile and have it be on a page. But it does bring up an interesting idea about like, Colin has invited you to be on his, makers page, and then you could collect all the makers that you knew and put all their introductions together. And that sounds really cool to me. I think that's a good example of like when you're building an app, there's so many cool ideas that can come out of it. You want to like have fun and play with those ideas, but you really need to stay focused on what the community is saying back to you. So I think there's 1,000 ways you could go with Snaptro, and that's what today is kind of about. It's the first chance to get that feedback from the community, to say like what where should this go? Should this be more for business? Should this be more for small business or big business, or not big business, but I love my wife's like shop idea here, like the way of just like, she's all about authenticity because she's a small business. So giving her a way to talk to people directly, I think is really valuable. Okay. All right, you guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to take a break for a few minutes. I will be back at 10:30 Eastern time, so I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we're back. Let's check out the stats here. We got 16 signups so far, and 185 visitors so far today. That's pretty good. And then the ranking right now, let's switch over to this view here. We're at 15th right now. I actually just sent a tweet to Product Hunt, sort of hoping that they can give me a nudge out there. I'm ranked 15th. When I look at, just kind of feeling like how much I've prepared for this, I do feel like I've got a really polished offering. I've got a really great story. So coming from kind of like that build in public mentality, I'm sharing so much on YouTube and I'm doing this live. I feel like I've got a really good package, and I've dropped below that kind of visibility place where, if you refresh the Product Hunt page right now and kind of scroll down a bit, it's really easy for these 5 to be noticed, right? Well, I guess this is a promotion, but we're not seeing Snaptro until like here. So it's kind of like a Google search. We're really getting buried right now. And a lot of people say that first hour is crucial because at that point, the winners have already floated to the top. And so I'm hoping we can get a little bit more attention so that we can get up here, because I do think that it's a pretty good offering, not to mention that it's actually a free offering too. So usually that goes well on Product Hunt. So anyway, I gave them a quick nudge. We'll see if they can maybe send a little boost my way. That would be great. Get a little shot in the arm. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how I do onboarding for Snaptro, because I feel like it's almost an art and science of its own in addition to all the building. And I guess just to give you a little bit of background, so for me, I'm a builder, but I'm a coder kind of first. That's where I started. And then my desire to put things into people's hands led me on this journey to figure out a lot of other skills and add them to my skill set. So designing and backend in APIs and marketing and selling and putting yourself out there, and all those things are things I've had to learn over the years, but kind of was always a coder first. So onboarding somebody into your app over the first week or two of their time is a whole skill in and of itself. So with Snaptro, the sign up is a little bit novel. There's no sign up form. You actually just immediately create your video and that creates your page. So when someone comes in here and starts recording a video like I'm doing now, I say, hi, I'm Colin, I'm the founder of Snaptro, and then you kind of talk about yourself and get yourself ready for your page, and you hit stop. You can kind of review that, see if you like it, and then you create your page. And so you can retake this as many times as you want, but eventually you get into the app, and I'll log into my account to show you what that looks like. And I've got my links here on the left that I can drag and drop, and I've got my video, and I can create multiple sub pages, which I've got a couple actually for onboarding. So I'll show you that in just a second. But when somebody comes in from, I've got a couple different like persona pages. So this is the generic homepage, because this is more of a platform application. And then I have 3 potential uses that I've kind of dug into. So job seekers, for instance, if somebody signs up from the job seeker page, then I want their whole onboarding experience to be tailored to that sign up. If they come in from the generic homepage, then the first thing I do when they sign up is I ask them, what are you using Snaptro for? What's your intention, so that we can better serve you? And basically what I'm doing there is putting them down one of the paths of onboarding, whether it's job seekers, sales, or Airbnb hosts, or it's something that I haven't thought of yet because we're still in that discovery phase. So what I actually do in the background is when you sign up with Snaptro, you get added to my Mailchimp audience list. Don't send you emails right away. You have to actually opt in to receive our marketing emails, but I do start sending you onboarding emails, and there's 4 of them. So I use Mailchimp. There's a lot of really great software to do this. Mailchimp is not the best. It's something I'm familiar with, which is one of the main reasons I chose it. But there are lots of other things that are probably a little bit cheaper too. But this is the customer journey in Mailchimp. Basically, whenever I add somebody to there's a group I've created in Mailchimp called Snaptro Onboarding, or actually it's called like types of emails, I think. And Snaptro Onboarding is one of the groups, and that's what I basically check for people when they sign up. They come into this, and then I send them this welcome email. And this is kind of an old version of it, but it's something like this, and it's dedicated to the type of flow that you ran. I can't show you the email in Mailchimp, which is kind of crazy because they make you pause your journey to make edits, and then people who get signed up don't they don't enter the funnel. So it's kind of a bad bug in my opinion. But so that's why I'm showing you this test version. Basically, I've got like a picture of me, and I have a Snaptro page I made just to say hello to people. So if you go, I can go back into my Snaptro account. I've created 2 pages under my page. I've got onboarding and I've got a Snaptro survey. So the onboarding is a video I made specifically for people who've signed up. Hi, this is Colin, founder of Snaptro. Thank you so much for signing up. So I basically introduce myself, thank them, and I have links specifically to the kind of personas that I have thought of. So that's the first email that gets sent out, is just me trying to establish a relationship and give them a demo video. So what's not showing here is the conditional logic based on what persona they chose. I have a demo video for each persona. So that would be in this space here, is like, this is the demo for the general signups. This is the demo for people who are Airbnb hosts. I want to get really specific. And then there's a 3-day delay, and then have another check to make sure they haven't opted out of these onboarding emails. And then we send them onboarding email number 2, which I honestly don't remember which one that is, but it might be this one. And again, I think I've updated these, so this is a little more accurate to what we're showing today. Basically, I want people to know how to make use of Snaptro. So the next couple days after they've kind of settled in, I want them to know that we've thought of ways to use your link. And if you go to your Snaptro dashboard, you'll see these here. This is a way to put it on your email signature, your page, or to put it in your bio for Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And then based on your persona, I've got other things too. So for Airbnb hosts, this is kind of a sample booking message to send to people. Or for your email signature, it's a little bit different because it's specifically for this persona. For sales reps, this is an email to a prospect. So like either a cold email or a demo, in a way to connect with those people there. And then each one of these also has a demo video specifically about how to use it. Job seekers is kind of an interesting one because I feel like you need to create a specific page for every job you're applying for so that it's hyper personal and it gives people a way to feel like you've invested in the company that you're applying for. So once they onboard with that, I even have like a link to the video that explains how to create the subpages, and that's custom to the persona. So, and then also at the end of all these emails, I'm telling them very explicitly, this is 2 out of 4 of the emails that we send you. So hopefully they won't unsubscribe because they'll see that this is just about getting them warmed up. And then we wait another 3 days. Got to do that if statement again in case they've opted out. And then we send them another email, which is basically how to create a great video. So this is more about making their page effective. So I link to my page and I want to make sure everybody sees that I'm not trying for perfection. I'm trying for authenticity. So Snaptro is all about being yourself and sharing your most real self with everybody. And then things that I've picked up from doing my YouTube channels, from all the research I've done to basically make videos look good in a low budget kind of way. I've got these tips like good lighting and making sure your eye is level with the camera, and then making people feel like it's okay to retake your video, because I had to take mine many times to get it right, and I got better at it, Then we've got now we have a whole week delay. I really want to make sure they're settled in and hopefully they even have some results from using their page at this point. Got to do that if statement again to make sure they're still connected, and then I send them a survey email. And let's see, do I have that in here? I don't really see that one here. How's Snaptro growing for you? There we go. So in this one, I'm using Mailchimp Survey software, which is kind of, basic, but I just need something to get the ball rolling. And it's a 3-question survey. In fact, let's just take a look at it if it lets us. So first of all, I've got this personal hello for me. So this is a another Snaptro page I made just for people who are at the survey step. So in this one, hi, this is Colin, founder of Snaptro. Thank you so much for using Snaptro. I really want to thank them for their participation. So that's what this Snaptro page is all about. It's just for onboarding. And that way, when they're taking that survey, they, hopefully they're going to see that there's a human behind this and that they want to give me some honest feedback and be thoughtful about what they share with me. So all that onboarding, I'm really at this stage of Snaptro, I've got one major goal, which is getting conversations going with me. So I want them to reply back to these emails, and I want them to say to me, here's what I like about it, here's what I didn't like about it. I want to get that feedback running because I'm at that place now where I am looking for, I basically have all these like fish hooks, I've got these lines in the water and I'm waiting for something to bite before I invest more. Snaptro is at a hold right now. I will not be investing more until I get some kind of momentum. And then, so now that that's done, once that onboarding is finished, I feel like somebody is now fully into the Snaptro ecosystem, and I don't want to keep annoying them with emails because I don't want them to unsubscribe. So at that point, it basically falls into, if you subscribe to my newsletter, which I make very easy to do, I'll periodically be sharing more tips, interesting ways that people have used Snaptro, so I can basically tell people these are some really cool ideas that are showing up. You should check those out too. Okay, let's take a look. Let's refresh. Gotta refresh. Okay, we're still at rank 15. It's all good. All right. No new comments yet, so nobody to reply to just for the moment. And let's cut over to behind the scenes stats. Okay. All right. So another thing I thought I would talk about with you guys is, how to be a bootstrapper and how to be a maker, from a bootstrapped kind of perspective. I've done this a lot. Pretty much done this my whole career. I did have one startup that was investment backed. It's a totally different experience. Pros and cons of both of these approaches. I personally like bootstrapping a lot more because I feel like pivoting is a lot easier in a bootstrapped company. And I feel like, throwing something away and doing something different is a lot. It's just, you're faster as a bootstrapped. You don't have the resources, but I'm also the kind of maker who prefers smaller, tighter teams. So maybe that's another reason I like bootstrapping is hiring is not my forte. I feel like I've hired great people before, and it's just been a hard process for me personally. It's not my strength, right? I think it's okay to lean on your strengths. First of all, I'll say that. Like, I think when you are, putting yourself out there in a big way, you need to rely on your strengths. You need to be able to say, hey, this is the thing I'm good at. Let's lean on that. And I think you can see that with me now, which is in building Snaptro as a product-led growth idea for new teammate. I'm leaning on what I'm good at, which is the building part. And I'm doing my best to keep up with the marketing and the selling. But I know that's a weaker spot for me. So I am leaning on my strengths, and I think that's okay. Okay, here. Having Mac issues for a second. Seems like every once in a while I have to kind of kick off my Air display and then redo this again. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, anyway, so how to be a bootstrapper. I mean, from my perspective. So, whenever you do have an idea and you're ready to just actually take this idea to the world, right? First thing I think you got to have is your personal finances under wraps. You definitely need to know how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, how long can you survive without any income or a partial income, right? And I think when you do that, you need a tool like Mint or some other kind of software that tracks your spending so that you have an actual idea of how much you're spending and not just some guess. Because it's crazy how much money actually goes out the door, right? So knowing how much money you spend and knowing how many months you have left, I call that personal runway. Like, how much runway do you have before your family is in trouble? And I think if you don't have at least 6 months, that is a really hard thing to do. 6 months, making money to survive in 6 months is kind of insane. Like, that's not a frequent thing to happen. It can definitely happen, and you see lots of stories, people saying, I did this and 30 days later I was making this much and stuff. That's just the exception. That's not the rule, because unless your idea is very, very rooted in something that people are already paying for and you feel like you have expertise, that might be more of a way of getting in there. But if you're kind of in that broad space of just wanting to do something, it's harder. And I think that's what you're seeing with my journey is I've taken an aspirational idea. New Teammate is about onboarding and giving new hires a way to see the video introductions of the people they're about to work with. So that's aspirational. That's not something that necessarily exists in the marketplace from what I can tell. So it is a harder thing. And I knew that going into it. And my hope is basically, as I'm going through that, I can find hooks that will make this, kick in. So anyway, so whenever you are building, I guess that's all to say is first thing has got to be finances. You got to know what your last day is. And if it's not enough, you need to have side income so that you can keep pushing that runway date out, because you're going to need a lot more than you think. And then it's creating a budget that you track specifically every dollar in, every dollar out. And I do that real simply with a Google Sheet. So this is my budget for this company. I had this company kind of before because I just had it set up, but I really didn't get going until February, March. And, you can see from my expenses here, I've got a virtual mailbox that hides my personal address. And I've got Amazon Web Services is my backend, and Replit, and I use Adobe Premiere for my videos. And I've got every single recurring cost listed out here, and I take it off once I decide that I can't afford it anymore. It's not making value for me. So for instance, with Tweet Hunter, I shifted to Hype Fury after a little bit of time with that, just because it's just kind of too expensive for me. So right now I've got a burn rate of about $133 a month. So that's not too bad. And a big piece of that is because I'm running this off of Airtable in the background. But the important thing is, from a bootstrapping perspective, is I know how much money I have and where it's going. So that's really important. And then once you're building, I think it's all about focusing in on your idea and connecting it with humans and why they would want to use your idea. And then being very open-minded along the way. Like, the whole time that you are building, you should be reacting. That's the thing. And I think for me, this journey, I've not been able to react that much because my audience has started with absolute zero. So one of the things about today that I've been hopeful for is getting that first shot of, organic traffic and getting those conversations going, booking some meetings, getting some responses back from my onboarding so that I can start figuring out, oh, wait a minute, there's something a little bit better here. And then it's always about keeping your eye on, what is an interesting product idea that actually turns from a want to a need. So both Snaptro and New Teammate are wants, not needs. That's a weakness from my whole journey. And I'm working on fleshing that out and trying to figure out a way to either turn it into a need, or is there something I can do kind of on the side that fulfills that role. And just as an example of something that came up that I wanted to kind of share is whenever I was doing this product hunt launch, I was thinking, okay, I want to do a live because I've got this weekly I've got this channel where I'm doing weekly videos, and I want people to be able to see me do this in real time, responding back to Product Hunt comments and just what are the emotions of the day. So I wanted people to have a way to basically add it to their calendar. So I created a link in Google Calendar, published it, and I started sharing it, and people weren't able to connect to it for some reason. It was a really clunky experience for sharing this link, because I didn't want to just send an invitation email, like a calendar invite itself. I felt like that was really presumptuous. So I created a little page. I was basically like, well, what would this look like if you actually gave people a page that had a way to save this to your calendar? And so I designed this look of basically like, Snaptro's launching on Product Hunt. It's 6 days left. Click here to save it to your calendar. And calendar links are a little bit weird because each one works slightly differently. It's not quite as honed in as like, email might be. It's a little more specific to the app. So you have to have these kind of different buttons. But basically creating this really fun event page, and that made me think, oh, it's cool for virtual events or even physical events that have like a location, like our group's going to be going to St. Louis. I don't know, just something like that. And I made that in a Replit, basically Replit page, because they basically give you, it's a really easy way to set up an HTML-based site with a link. So I created that, and it's got the Snaptro Product Hunt launch.colingmatthews.replit.co, and that's how I built it basically. And I just took my design and I implemented it straight for what I needed specifically. So I can't really replicate it super easy. I'd have to copy paste it. But that's a really interesting idea, like on its own, like creating event pages for people like this that are really simple, just gives you a way to share a event. And there are a lot of sites out there that have event sharing, but a lot of them are really they're heavy, right? They're like collect payments or they collect RCPs. I just needed something really dirt simple. So there exists an idea here, right? I think monetization would be kind of tough for something like this. But it's an idea that popped up in my head, and just to share as like a bootstrapper, what I'm thinking about. Like when I do something like this, I put it out there in hopes that somebody might say, hey, can you make me one of these, right? Or like I ask people what they, if they have an event coming up, could I make a page for you like this? And just see what happens, because you never know. I mean, an entrenched market like the creating event links is something that you could tap into by being the simpler option, So if you find a way to get your hooks in, that's a really good strategy, because then you can figure out, oh, okay, hold on, I think I could monetize this by this feature, this one feature maybe. So I have this in my head as like something, I don't know if I'm actually gonna make any movement on it, but it's one of those ideas that came up. And then another idea that came up is this sort of like video Q&A idea. So in keeping with video, because Snaptro is about video, New Teammate is about video, keeping in that domain is helpful because I've already written a lot of that code, right? So any idea I have that's based in video, I'm a little more interested in pursuing. And with this one, what was happening to me was I was getting LinkedIn messages from people and email messages for people who kind of wanted to help me. And I'm so excited whenever that happens. I think you can take advantage of every moment you can. But leading up to this launch, I was pretty busy. And I had some people asking for help, and I thought, oh man, I'm doing these customer interviews where I'm booking meetings with people, and I'm, getting these good conversations going. I can't always do a live meeting. There's just only so much time in the day. So wouldn't it be great to have a way to do customer interviews async, where I can create a video of my questions and keep that personal touch in there that says like, I care about your feedback. I really put my, I want to listen to your feedback, and have people be able to respond back with video answers. So this prototype's a little weird because it's me and me, but you have a video on the left of me asking the question, and then this is a live camera feed in reality, where they can record, their responses back. And so that gives me a way to be personal, ask these customer interview questions. Somebody can very easily, they don't have to type a lot of text, they can just talk extemporaneously about, their responses. And then it comes back at the end with a thank you from me, and you say, finish and submit. This is a really intriguing idea because this is straight to business. You could immediately ask for payment on something like this. There is a market for this. There are video survey software tools out there. Could you come in maybe at a specific niche here, like specifically for customer interviews? And could you do it just in a better, way than other companies are doing it? That is how Mailchimp succeeded. Was we entered an existing market, but we were the dirt simple way of doing it. And I think it was good UX that basically made us win. So that's another interesting potential idea. Okay, I'm gonna cut us back over here while we look at our stats. Okay, and then the the other idea that I was thinking about is, if I go back to New Teammate for you, New Teammate is all about onboarding and hiring, onboarding new hires basically. So it's about that hiring experience after you've already hired somebody. So it made me think, whenever you do hire somebody, and I've done this before, and I've talked with many people who have done this before, is there's a whole checklist of things that you have to do to bring somebody on. And it gets really complicated, and everybody does their own way of doing it, using Notion or Google Docs or whatever to kind of create that checklist. But a lot of times, it's a trial and error process. Wouldn't it be kind of interesting to create a site that's just onboarding checklist, and it's based on research from people who do onboarding at lots of different companies, and you could basically provide this kind of like template for bringing somebody onto a company, and then have these big checkboxes that's like, set up their email, set up their Slack, and it just is a very satisfying user interface for that. That's really cool because it ties into New Teammate's hiring thing, and it's also a free product that's really lightweight. There's almost no back-end coding to it, maybe at all. Could just be a front-end site. Give me another chance to be on Product Hunt. So I like that. But, there's not much monetization with that. So it really would only be a funnel. So I think to some extent, I'm looking at Snaptro today to see, is that even a good use of time, because it would take a couple weeks at least to build something, and then putting it out there. Do you get enough use that you actually grow your audience, or does it kind of fall flat? So speaking of, let's go back to the stats here. I got to refresh it, see what we're doing. Okay, we're still at 24 votes. We're 15th place. Feeling like, and let's refresh this page too. Yeah, I mean, we're so far from the top that it's going to be pretty much impossible, I think, to kind of rise any more than this. I mean, I feel like we might be able to get up a little bit higher, but honestly, in the Eastern time zone, it's almost 11 a.m. and by now, we probably should have had more hits than this. So I'm not writing the day off by any means, but I do feel like the kind of reach here is becoming quite limited. I think it's good to kind of talk through that because you can't put all your heart and energy into something like this. In terms of like breaking your heart, I guess what I'm trying to say, like, got to stay positive. There's so many factors outside your control. Aside from having a big audience to start with, which I did not have, which is kind of probably the biggest thing. I feel like I did everything else right. I was very thoughtful and planning ahead about this. I did this YouTube live to show that I'm very serious about transparency and being in the moment with you guys and sharing everything that I have learned and what I'm thinking. So I think I'm being really transparent, and I'm doing bootstrapped solo entrepreneur kind of thing. So I've got a lot of checkboxes going for me. I feel like Snaptro is a very polished app and a very focused one. It's really easy to understand. So could I have done better? The audience thing was always the big issue, right? Launching a brand new app without having an audience is always tough. So that's probably going to be the takeaway from this is, didn't have a big enough audience. Maybe this will help grow the audience so that the next app I do put out there does better. But so that kind of coming back to what I was just saying about doing side projects, like, is it worth it to build something just to grow the audience? And at this point, I'm going to say probably not. If I can find a way to tie it in strongly to New Teammate again, maybe there's a good idea there. But we'll see. The day's not over. And also, the thing to remember about Product Hunt and just in general launches like this is it's not just the day of where you get a lot of traffic. There's a whole tail to it. There's people who come back later, check it out. You kind of permanently exist on Product Hunt, so you're always getting more. You're getting more exposure that way. And that reminds me, I forgot to add this to my collection. I have a profile pages and microsites page collection that I created in Product Hunt, so that I thought this would be a cool way to have the apps that I'm building and also other ones that I find, just kind of make a nice fun collection of good products that do this. So I created this collection, last week and started adding products to it. What was I going to show you guys next? Okay, let's go cut to this for a second. Okay. So I did want to also share kind of like some of the feedback I have been getting on New Teammate. I keep getting really good feedback, but there's something that keeps coming up that is really intriguing to me. So, I've said this a couple times here, but just to say it again, New Teammate is about new hires coming on and they're being onboarded and creating a great onboarding experience. I keep thinking and hearing about the hiring process before that, before you've actually hired somebody and you're hiring. That is more of a need space than a want space. Like, everybody's trying to hire. It's always hard. No one ever has an easy time hiring. And how do you set your company apart from other people who are hiring? Because they're all looking for the same people. It's an interesting idea to do video introductions at the hiring stage, not the hired stage. So, in terms of, where New Teammate might be going, that might be an easier sell for me to get off the ground. And then maybe this idea of employee onboarding comes, later. Maybe that's something that's a part 2 instead of a part 1. That's kind of been the leading feedback so far. I'm still looking for feedback. I want more of a signal that I'm heading in the right direction, but that has been the strongest signal that's come out so far, and it's definitely interesting. It's kind of piqued my interest in terms of like having something to move to. That kind of brings me up back to continuing this thought about how to be a bootstrapper. For me personally, my style is never stop moving. I always am thinking, how do I make this day count? How do I make tomorrow count? How do I make this week count? And sometimes that involves cutting scope so that you can ship faster. And sometimes that involves, having a plan before the week starts about what you're going to do so that when you're in that moment, you're in the seat at your desk, you're ready to hit the ground running. And that's why these validation moments are really interesting and crucial for me, because I want to be getting feedback that makes me just go, oh man, obviously I need to be doing X, and if I don't have that obvious feeling, it's very unsettling for me. I don't like that. But the important thing is to live that uncomfortability, but then don't sit there too long, because you got to keep moving. Even if you're not doing something that's 100% on track, I think as long as you also have that feeling of, okay, I need to shift if I feel if something's not working, I need to be able to throw it away. I think if you have that, can adopt that mentality, it's a very healthy thing to just say, okay, never stop moving. Let's just keep going forward, even if we're not exactly sure where we're going. We know we need to go west. That kind of explorer mindset. All right. Maybe something kind of fun to do while we're kind of waiting on more stuff is to kind of look at some of these competitors. Let's check them out. Cycle is the number one of the day. Let's check this out. So it's product feedback. Let's see. Cycle connects customer feedback to product delivery workflows so you can close the feedback loop and wow your customers at each release. It looks like it's is this a, you have to join the wait list. It's not actually live yet. Ooh, that's fun. I love that. Shift plus space to quickly preview docs. Oh, okay. That one's not interactive. Okay. Let's see. Okay. That's interesting. So yeah, it looks pretty cool, but I'm a little surprised that it doesn't seem to be live. I mean, from their perspective, I love that they're actually number one and they don't even have the thing live yet. That's really good on them. Let's check out number two. Focus on building your product, not custom internal apps. Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like that is a problem I've seen before. Where you have a certain set of things you need to be doing on the back end, but you don't want to build a big tool for it. So it looks like being able to create apps, and it's almost like a no-code tool for back-end stuff. Or I mean, for like admin. At least as I understand it. Let's see what their pricing is. Okay. All right, that's cool. Let's see. Let's go down a little bit. Let's try hello cognition. Search engine for developers. Is Node.js Fred safe? Interesting. I'm not sure how necessary that is. Like, I feel like Google works pretty well. It's kind of cool. Okay. All right, we're gonna do one more refresh here. I think we're gonna take a break. Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna take a break, so I'll be back in a little while. Check in throughout the day if you would, because I'll be giving you guys updates as to where we are through the time. This is kind of my first live, so just kind of seeing how this feels and seeing what there is to talk about and give you guys value. So I'm going to, let's see, leave you guys with, these are the current stats we're out right now. And all right, I'll see you guys soon. Hey guys, welcome back. All right. So let's see. During the break, got a couple more votes going on here where it's still at rank 15. We dropped to rank 14 for just a second, but then we popped right back to 15. So we must be pretty close to maybe the Actionable Book Club. Maybe that was the one we were getting close to. Not sure. Would love to see it keep bumping up. It's there's a lot of good competition today. And I love seeing all these apps out here. Let's take a quick look at the analytics for the moment. All right, so you can see we've got 18 signups for the day, 220 visitors for the day, and haven't had any real issues with throttling. You can see in the left bottom, that's the throttling that's been the throttle checks that happen because I'm running this whole thing on Replit and Airtable. So I've got some code in there, basically a safeguard that if we get too much traffic, it slows things down so that we don't break those limits. So we would see if we saw a sustained line on that graph, that would be the problem. So we're doing okay there. So, I think just to kind of sum up where we are and how I'm feeling about things, I think I'm really glad that I stuck with the Replit and Airtable backend. I think the past version of me would have immediately created a database, went through the pains of making a very proper schema and just getting everything really, really tight. I'd have load balancing in there for multiple servers. I would have had all that infrastructure set up. And I did not this time. I just did Replit, which is costing me $7 a month to run the servers, and Airtable, which is $0 a month to run the database. And that is saving me, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, maybe at this point, thousands of dollars. Maybe not quite that far, but definitely hundreds of dollars. And not only that, but I'm moving so much faster because I can make these changes quickly. I can add new columns without, getting too worried about, the database schema. And then when things do take off, when I find those proper hooks, it will be a lot smoother process to move from Airtable to a proper database, to a proper server infrastructure. And I think as long as you, work pretty hard to make that your code pretty tight. So far, it's showing me that the Replit Airtable, combo is working great. Haven't had any outages or any downtime or anything like that. Just not really getting the traffic to make it a real concern. Okay. Check my notes here. So that also brings up the kind of idea of be prepared, but don't be over prepared whenever you're doing anything in kind of bootstrap mode. It would have been really easy to overthink all this and just build way more than we needed to build. And I'm glad I didn't. I think the right level of preparedness is where I kind of struck. And, this was an 8-week process from even the idea to this launch day pretty much. So that's a pretty fast turnaround. And I'm learning from that right now. If we look at the, let's go back to the stats again, if we look at where we're at rank 15 out of 30 apps, and you see some of these apps appear having 684. And honestly, when I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning and kind of got the ball rolling, these apps already had hundreds of votes. So that really hurts to lose that first hour momentum. And from there, these 5 apps are constantly being shown to anybody who comes here for the day. So it's hard for people to scroll all the way down to Snaptro to give it a shot. So we're not really seeing the kind of traffic I had hoped for. And when you look back at some of my videos, so I'm publishing weekly videos on this YouTube channel, and I went back to day 126, where I basically was looking at the possible scenarios for this launch day. And in the best case scenario, things kind of just blow up and maybe we win first, second, third place. For me, that would have been a signal, build the payment system right away, keep the focus on Snaptro, let's double down, let's keep investing and see, what is it about this that people love? And then fast forward a little bit here. And then the medium outcome was kind of like, yeah, we did pretty good, got some good feedback and good comments, but it wasn't like it didn't blow people away, or it wasn't an obvious 3-point shot. That would have led me to building the payment system still, because I think we would have wanted to see if we could monetize the people that signed up, and then, but not really advance the work on Snaptro until later, and kind of refocus back on the main project, which is new teammate. And then we had kind of the worst outcome. Let's go here, week showing, where it's basically keeping the lifetime deal that's running on Snaptro right now. So if you go to snaptro.com today, you're going to get a free account for life. And I was planning on taking that down, but since we're having a week showing, I'm going to keep that running, and we're just going to see what happens with that. So I want to just get as many people as we can to create Snaptro pages so that I can get that feedback going and get that funnel working. So right now, if things don't change today, we're kind of classifying this as a week showing, and I wouldn't call this, I'm not so sure that we learned enough to say Snaptro is not going to work. I think that's being pretty harsh. I wouldn't jump to such a big conclusion on that. But if you look at the analytics and seeing that we've got 18 signups, so far, and 18 videos, that means nobody's made a sub page yet, because we should have more videos than signups if they had. I'm going to want to watch that over the next, couple weeks to see how these people shake out. Anybody who comes in through the onboarding system in, Snaptro, I want to see if they end up turning into a loyal customer or if they kind of were just kicking the tires. And that will probably tell me a lot. And I'm not sure, this may upgrade from a weak showing to a medium outcome based on that process. So I will want to kind of watch that. And see, just kind of see what happens from that. And the other thing is, a lot of times you get feedback days later after people have had a chance to actually try the product, and then they reach out to you. So I'll be looking for that pretty strongly to see, what we can do about what kind of feedback we're running into. Should we, invest in something? But at the moment, the things are right now, I'm going to refresh this again because it's just wearing down the Command R on my keyboard. But it's just still at rank 15. Really got to get into the top 7, really, to have really the top 5, honestly, to have a big day. But that top 10 would be even nice to break into that. But without that, honestly, I'm not really sure how we're going to recover from this. We're just probably not going to be able to make it up much more than this. Okay. Okay, so I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today, you guys. I've had a really great time, sharing this experience with you guys. I love Product Hunt launches. They're so much fun. I'm going to have more in the future, and now that I've learned a lot from this one in terms of doing the live, also in terms of being prepped for the launch, I'm really hopeful the next one will be better than this one. And hopefully we can use the audience that Snaptro is hopefully going to grow and use that for the next launch to kind of get ahead of some of these apps that just fly out of the gate, right at the first strike of the bell, like we did not. So thank you guys so much for checking this out. I would really encourage you to go check out my YouTube channel, Colin Makes Software. I'm releasing videos every week on Friday of everything I've learned and did during that week. And I'm going to as much detail as possible. So I'm sharing, budget information. I'm sharing, prototypes, design mock-ups, customers that I talk to, interviews that they get with customers, and all of my process for, making that happen. And I want you guys to be there as a part of it so that you can participate. I'm answering comments, so just leave any thoughts that you guys have for me. And of course, I am building Snaptro and I am building New Teammate right now. So one more time, I want to give you guys the spiel on these. So New Teammate is what I started this whole project for, which is employee onboarding for people who you've hired. So they get a chance to come in and meet their new coworkers via video intros, and your existing company everybody's asked to create a video, but you only have to create one video and then you're set for anybody who comes in. And then as you onboard people, they record their video as part of that process. So it is a really, really cool idea. Check out my demo video. I think it's pretty awesome. That walks you through what that experience is going to be like. And today, right now, we're still in the early phases of development on this because we took this detour to build Snaptro. So, and as a reminder of what Snaptro is, it is a 60-second or less video introduction of yourself. So you can share your links to your content, to your shop, or to your YouTube page, whatever it is that you do, share links to it along with a video introduction of yourself. Create as many sub pages as you want. So I've done this for the onboarding for Snaptro. So if you sign up today and you use Snaptro, you'll eventually see through my drip emails kind of the other ways in which I've been using Snaptro. So check that out. And then there's going to be a lot more on the horizon. I need to find an app that hooks. Haven't found that yet. I don't think Snaptro so far hasn't shown that today. So there will be more coming, and we're going to be cycling back to new teammate and maybe making some pivots off of it too based on some of the feedback I have heard. So please stick with me on YouTube especially, but follow these apps as well. And thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support today, and I'll see you later.